right, so we're back on for another episode of the Coaches Show. We got head football coach Ryan Chambers and Jonathan Gibson here helping us out. We got a couple of weeks to catch you guys up on, so we're going to go all the way back to Lavaca week. Coach, we went over to Lavaca. First thing I got to say is I was extremely impressed with their facility. I know that's not really what we're here to talk about, but wow, they had a pretty neat scoreboard. It had some stuff going on up there, and so I was just impressed with that. But you get into the game, and the biggest thing that I took from that game was just that we did improve from the week before, which is always what you want. So let's talk about that just a little bit.
So we had a lot of improvement up front. We ran the ball a little bit better. We still struggling on first down to that point, and that was one of our big keys going into the after that was to win first down. Something we didn't do against Mansfield or Lavaca. But defensively, honestly, our defensive our front seven, played pretty well for the most part. Held the run game in check for the most part. Now they had some decent gainers here and there, but for the most part, played pretty well up front. We struggled on the outside, tackling their athletes in space. We were in the right position a lot, but then we would struggle to make some tackles, and that was something we had to shore up.
Yeah. A couple other things that I was just thinking of while you were talking. We got a really big run from Doc Littleton. Yep. That was kind of nice to see. And then something that always stands out to me is when the other team has a big play or a momentum-changing top play, but the guys stay with it. And they had a long play. I can't remember if it was a run or a pass. Maybe you do, but we ended up forcing a turnover at the end of it, maybe inside their red zone. So it just shows that the guys weren't giving up on the play, still fighting through to the end of it. Colton McCubbins sit out for that game. We're going to talk about him in a little bit when we get into Danville, but I think that really paid off doing that. And then as far as I remember, we came out of that game healthy.
Came out healthy, had everybody ready to go for Danville week.
Yeah. So that sort of takes us through Lavaca. We get junior high played Tuesday of that week at Danville.
Yep.
Talk about that game.
Played really well. We played, we normally play JV teams, so we played their full junior high team. So we took our junior high team down there as well, played all our ninth graders pretty much the entire game, and played well. Daniel Green had a monster game. They really had no answer for him. Hunter Enkelbarger played really, really well, had some big runs. And then Troy Carey had a couple mistakes in the first half, had a couple penalties that brought some big plays back, but he come back and said, "Coach, I'll make it up to you," and ended up scoring the go-ahead touchdown with about 2 minutes to go or so.
Gotcha. I didn't make the game, but I had a friend of mine down there, and he kept texting me, "Hey, it's a ball game. It's a ball game." Yeah. And then he said, "You guys won." And I said, "All right, great. Thanks for the update." So good to see those guys doing good, though. Where are they sitting right now, record-wise?
We are 3-0 right now. We beat Mansfield's JV team, then beat Danville, and then we beat Lamar's JV team this week.
Yeah, we played Lamar JV this week. Anything you want to mention from that game?
We played pretty much all of our 8th graders pretty much the entire game. Our 9th graders played a series and then let the 8th graders play the rest of the game. And Mark Cameron had a big game at running back. Troy Carey, he carried the ball for a lot of yards again. But overall, our 8th graders are coming together. We got 7th and 8th graders, I should say. We got a few pretty good athletes in that class, and they're getting some really high quality reps against guys their age.
Yeah. All right. So now that gets us to the fun part of this week's Coaches Show. So I'm going to turn it over to John O. Hey, get us going on the Danville game.
Big rivalry with Danville, so you don't need much to get going. But I thought the atmosphere, we talked Friday night after the game, and the atmosphere, not only in the stands and in the stadium, but from your guys. I sensed a sense of urgency, but a sense of business-like attitude out of your guys when they came out of the locker room. And, lose the toss, receive, and you guys take care of business on that opening drive. And that really, I thought, was the difference maker of the whole night is getting that great start.
Yeah. So we come out, had a decent week of practice, had some issues at times, but I made sure they got focused and understood that, you're not always just going to be able to walk out and be better than the person across from you. And they should have known that from the first 2 weeks of the season. We had some young guys that hadn't had any experience in senior high, and they had to grow up quick, and they grew up by Friday night.
looked like a well-oiled machine. You know, you often talk about from week 1 to week 2, you see so much improvement, but I think for you guys, week 2 to week 3 was when you really made a giant leap.
Yeah.
And that was clearly evident on your first drive, driving them down their throat, scoring, coming back your second drive, driving down and scoring again.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you look up and you're up 14-0.
Yeah. So we're getting more comfortable with the offense now. We used to do this offense a couple years ago, but it's been 2 or 3 years since any of the guys ran this stuff. You know, I had a couple people leave, had to change offenses up again, and it took us a little bit to get comfortable with it, but we're getting comfortable with it now. O-line's coming together, growing up quick, and they match people on Friday.
I like that. You know, watching those pie eaters up front, man, they were just making holes. And we talked all season long about how if the backs you have, you've got a multiple stable of runners back there that's very, very capable. If they could ever just get that 1 or 2 step past the line of scrimmage, and I thought Friday night for the first time, you guys, your offensive line got a good solid push that let them do what they can do.
Yeah, I got skilled guys that can play, and I got O-line guys that can play, and it just took a little time, you know. And they're not going to be able to come out, especially against a really good Mansfield team and a good Lavaca team. That, I mean, they're playoff teams last year. It's tough when you just kind of throw them out there and say, hey, you got to go play. But they figured it out on Friday night and really worked well together.
How fun was it for you as a coach and a play caller to really kind of dig in your bag a little bit and throw some different tricks out there? There was a couple different, I don't want to call them tricks, they're just different formations, but something you don't see out of the ordinary that you were able to bring out and really highlight the talent of what you've got.
It's really nice. We got a group of guys that are very coachable, very smart. So I threw a lot of stuff at them. I knew we could get some stuff formation wise on them and get some leverage that we wanted for different plays. And you know, we don't want to really use them in the first half and save some of them for the second half. And got some big plays out of those formations. And it really helps when you got guys that can do it one week and you can put it together on Friday night.
Speaking of that, Colton McCubbin, obviously a huge night offensively,
Yeah.
and some of those big yardage gains came out of those special formations. And you know, he's a guy that's got a lot of energy. It's just a matter of getting it contained and getting it on. And I thought he did a really good job Friday night, really keeping it focused and came up with some huge plays.
Oh yeah, yeah. Guy that's a high energy all the time, but when it's time to go, he knows it's time to go. Gets fired up really easy, but you know, if we can, you know, put it on our side and you know, we don't want him to get any penalties or anything like that, which I don't think he was close to getting any penalties or anything like that. But you know, I like that. That's something you need on a football team. You got to have that spark play guy, and that's who he is.
And you had a lot of speed, not only from him, but Ethan Vasquez too. You know, once he was able, you know, kick it to the outside and get some running room, you know, he really kind of showcases what speed you do have in the backfield.
Right, yeah, had a big play there on this first possession of the game. Got loose, then had a big punt return later in the game that I think we scored on that possession as well, which was a big point in the game. Special teams is something we focused on after week 1. We didn't play well on special teams week 1, but really worked hard on it and had a big special teams play, and that's sometimes that's the turning point in the game.
Comfortable lead going into the halftime. You had the shutout. Then there's a second half. How was it to keep that intensity going? Because when you came out, you know, they got the football. Your defense, which had played phenomenal the entire night, delivers another blow right there on that opening drive that I thought really probably sealed the game for you. Still a lot of football left to play, but when they couldn't get anything going on their opening drive of the second half, I thought that pretty much kind of crushed their hopes.
Yeah, so coming to halftime, obviously I'm happy we're up 14-0. That's great, but you know, it's a 2-half football game. It's not 1 half. It's great that you won the first half, but if you go 0-0 into the second half, that's got to be the mentality you have, and that's kind of the mentality they took out there. Knew we needed to come up with a stop and get the ball right back, and I think that's when we had our 90-yard touchdown run, and that's a heartbreaker right there.
Yeah, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they end up getting a punt off and kind of pinning us back pretty deep.
Inside the 10.
Yeah, inside the 10, and then not a lot going on. Was that third down play?
The touchdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's like
not,
3rd and 8.
Yeah, not a lot going on first and second down, and then just home run on third down from inside your 10-yard line. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And finishing, that's a lot of things I think you can build off of going into the next week is,
Yep.
making a statement and finishing strong. And you guys did that all night.
Yeah, so we did that for the most part. 4 minutes to go. Now we did have a couple cramps and to players that are very important to our team, and I get that, but that's part of we got to be accountable for our teammates and keep our bodies right and make sure we're conditioning right. We got to be out there for a full 4 quarters. We can't have 3 guys go down with cramps with 4 minutes to go, because we saw what happens. They go right down and score, and then it kind of makes it a little bit of a ball game. We're inside the 10, we don't score. They go right down the field and score. If they could have got an onside kick, they're right back in the football game. So that's just one thing we focused on too, is making sure we can stay on the field the entire 48 minutes and finish the game the way we want to. I don't want it to be 32-20. I want to put the exclamation point on it. I want that touchdown inside the 5.
Josh and I had talked about this during the game about how well your defense played, but it was, I hate the cliche team effort,
Yeah.
but literally every play defensively, if you had one guy that he may not have made the tackle, but he slowed it up enough where you had 3 or 4 more guys coming in and making a play. Hunter Enkelbarger was one we talked about a lot Friday night. He was one of those guys that he wasn't in on the play to start with. He was right there to get in on the play for a yard loss or no gain or maybe a 2-yard loss.
Yeah. So if I told you we missed 22 tackles in that game, you would think we didn't play very well defensively. But we flew to the football, and that's a big key for us, is that we didn't do last year or the year before. We had 3 or 4 guys flying to the football every play. So even if somebody missed it, we had somebody there to make the play as well. First possession had a play where they swing it out to the running back. Doc's in perfect position, misses the tackle, but we tackle him right there for about a 1-yard gain, and then we get the 4th down stop on the next play. It's stuff like that where we have somebody else there to help make a play.
Never would have guessed if you told me 22 missed tackles. Just, in the flow of the game, of course, that's when you're able to go back and kind of take a broader perspective.
But there is one thing we did talk about that we noticed in game was we did notice some missed tackles. We just weren't talking about it that way. We were talking about all the extra effort.
Right.
And we noticed that kids were giving max effort on those missed tackles and doing just enough to slow folks down to where other kids could come in. So it did stand out that there was a lot of good defensive teamwork going on.
Good week to build into your final non-conference week and then a break.
Yep.
Bearville Bobcats coming to town. I believe that's the first encounter. Josh is our historian here. But
That's right. Yeah,
I believe
first
it's
time.
the first time encounter. You talked about how it's kind of one of those late additions that you'd like to have just to get a game in.
Yep.
Good opportunity. I
Yep.
mean, they're a larger school. I think they're 1-1 on the season. I think they won their opener and lost last week. But they are a 4A program, I believe.
4A, yep.
And a good opportunity to play at home again.
Yep, excited for Berryville to come down. They're a 4A school. They beat West Fork this year, who traditionally West Fork's pretty good. Lost to Greenland last week, 14-7, I believe. But a lot bigger school than us, so it's going to give us a test. We need the reps, we need the plays. We can't take 2 weeks off before our first conference game. So, really good week for us to come out and get better and try to get another win.
I got to take it back to something I mentioned during the radio broadcast, and I'm going to take you to a play in the game. Now, normally we talk a lot about quarterbacks. We didn't talk about the quarterback yet on this show, but I'm going to bring him up. I thought he played a really good game, managed the football really well, executed the handoffs and the plays and getting where he needs to be really well. There's one thing he did that really stood out to me, and so he got a little dinged up on a play, and he got smoked, okay, and he's laying on his back. And you go out to check on him, you talk to him, whatever, and you guys end up with I don't want to call it the high five, but you kind of end up giving him a little bit of love there, and it's one of those images that I think I'm always just going to have in my head of him on his back, you standing over him, just kind of, picking him up there. I just wanted you to talk about that moment just a little bit because it was kind of a neat moment for me.
Yeah, so it's a big play in the game. We're down at the goal line. We actually score a touchdown. Ethan scores a touchdown. We get a hold. He's called back.
Was that a touchdown pass?
It was a touchdown pass. We come back, third and, we're from like the 12 or something, which is not good for us.
Yeah.
We are not that team that needs to be in 3rd and 12, 3rd and long. And come out, we're just going to throw one up to Ethan. Honestly, it wasn't a great thrown ball or nothing like that, but he threw it out there enough where Ethan could
Yeah.
make a play on it. Ethan
Yep.
come back and caught it. He actually, I don't think he got hit. He cramped up.
Oh, okay.
So he immediately threw it, immediately cramped, and just went to the ground.
Okay.
I didn't know at the time either. I thought he got hit too.
I thought he got
That's
smoked.
why I ran out there. If I'd have known he cramped, I wouldn't have went out there so fast. But I thought he got hit. He got out there and said, "Coach, what happened? My calf's cramped." I said, "You threw a touchdown pass," and then gave him a high five there.
It's funny what you think you see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you just messed up the whole thing for me by telling me the truth.
Hey, it's my bad.
But it's still going to be in there. He's a tough kid.
Yeah, he is.
I really like being around him, and I think he's a fantastic quarterback for this
Absolutely.
team. Berryville Friday. Want to talk about the junior high game coming up afterwards.
Yeah, so next week, on the schedule, it's Tuesday. For a long time, it was supposed to be Tuesday, but it turns out that is when we're having our parent-teacher conferences. So we went ahead and moved that game to Monday night, which is the 18th, right? That's the 18th, 16th Saturday,
Yeah.
17th, 18th. So Monday the 18th, we'll play Cossatot River here at home at 6 o'clock. So not Tuesday, we'll play on Monday.
They're in a new program too, right?
Brand new. This is their first year of football ever. They only have a junior high team. He called me up in the spring wanting to play, and I said, "Man, a perfect time for us to play too." So.
Yeah. Hey, I love that. That was us once upon a time trying to
Yep.
find games with just a 7th and 8th grade team. Anything you want to mention, John, on the schedule?
No, it's been a good week. A good week of athletics. I think going into, like I said, we're starting to reach that midway point now, and I think the break probably comes at a good time.
Yeah.
After getting through the non-conference slate football-wise. Football-wise, our golf team was in action today. I haven't heard exactly how they came out today in the conference tournament. I know later in the week, later next week, volleyball gets back going again. Cross country's been active through next week as well. So next week again will be another busy week for events both on campus and away.
Yeah. Hey, really appreciate you guys coming out last Friday night. Want to encourage you to come out again this Friday night. The team is picking up a little bit of steam, and so we really appreciate you guys coming out. It was a fun environment, and we definitely would like to duplicate that. There's still a few opportunities if you want to volunteer and help us out. There's still a few jobs out there that we can have you doing, so let me know if you're interested in that. And also wanted to give everybody that's listening a shout out. I've been kind of overwhelmed with people wanting to sponsor game day breakfast for the team, so really appreciate that. I told the team the first week that what that means is that people out there care and they're paying attention and they're invested, and I think they really appreciate it hearing that. So thank you guys. We'll see you next time.